He's fighting with the Marxists. He's fighting with the Marxists.
All right, everyone. We're just going to give everyone a second to come in here and join us. This is going to be a really quick Twitter space because I do have Socialism Saturday coming up at 6 p.m. and I still have to get ready for it. But I just got done my community bitchcraft call and I was, well, alerted to the fact that James Lindsay wrote an entire Twitter thread about me. And I think it's hilarious and I just want to talk about it because it is legitimately hilarious. I think we can all agree upon that. James Lindsay is having a massive public meltdown about the woke right, and it's everything. It's everything that I've been waiting for. I knew it was going to happen eventually. It's everything I've been waiting for. I just want to do a quick check. Can people give me a thumbs up if my sound sounds okay? Can you guys let me know because Twitter Spaces sometimes Twitter Spaces sometimes messes with my sound. So can I just get a thumbs up from the peanut gallery if my sound sounds okay? I would appreciate it. All right, Coco, thank you for that. Do appreciate that. And thank you, Yasmin. Thank you, Soren. I appreciate it. Hey, Yasmin, while we're kind of waiting for other people to come in, can you stop causing problems with the Groypers and then telling people that I'm involved somehow? Because I woke up today and I had all these messages in my inbox from people that I like, that I'm friends with, that were telling me that you were causing problems and that you said that I was involved in it somehow, and I have no idea what's going on. So can you just please stop? You're going to cause problems. I don't mind if you. I don't care. I just don't want anything to do with it, okay? I just don't want anything to do with it. That's my only ask. That's all. That's all. I don't want to talk about this right now, Yasmin, because we're going to do this Twitter space. I don't want to have a back and forth on this. I just want to say that I don't want to be waking up to DMs from people saying that I'm involved in something I'm not involved in, all right? That's all. I'm not mad about it or nothing. I'm just saying that, okay? All right. So here's what's going on. So I have just been so the other day I released a video of James Lindsay in his interview with Rabbi Barclay, and the video is accurate. It may have been cut out of a larger context, and I may have really enjoyed the fact that I knew it was going to piss James off, that it was cut out of a larger context, but I was actually pretty open about what I was doing on my stream, and so this isn't something that I hid or anything. But in this video, James Lindsay accurately describes the first chapter of Mein Kampf, where basically in the first chapter of Mein Kampf, oh, Mizakan, I'm so glad you joined, you're going to love this. Basically in the first chapter of Mein Kampf, Hitler is complaining about he's fighting the Marxists, he's fighting the Marxists, he's fighting the Marxists, he's fighting the Marxists, and then he realizes that all the Marxists are Jewish. Now, that is actually an accurate representation of what that is, and that is whether or not you agree with it is actually another story. Whether or not that's actually factually true is another story. I'm not actually making a commentary on whether or not I agree with it or whether or not James agrees with it. What I'm making a commentary on is that this is actually what Hitler believed. This was Mein Kampf was like his opus. This is what he believed. He believed he was fighting the Marxists, and he believed the Marxists he were fighting were Jewish, and that is an accurate representation of what he believes. And people can agree or disagree. That's fine. Like whatever. So James had this whole clip in this interview with this rabbi where he flat out says this. Now, this was funny because, of course, James gets a lot of grief online for not wanting to, name the Jew or whatever. And I was like, oh my God, this clip is just so perfect. It's just so hilarious. It's just so great. It is just it is the perfect little encapsulation of James Lindsay explaining what Hitler actually believed, regardless of whether or not James agrees with it, which is not actually the point of the clip. But I did post it on the internet and it got, I think it's up to 160,000 views or something like that. And I said, breaking news, James Lindsay confirms that Hitler was fighting the Marxists in Germany and that all the Marxists he was fighting were Jewish. That's an accurate representation of that clip. I'm sorry, that's just what it is. Well, James is now upset about that because James is getting a lot of shit for this whole woke right thing that he's been pushing, and rightfully so, because this whole woke right idea is absolutely absurd on 19 different levels. And to be honest, James doesn't even understand the arguments of the people that he's attacking because James doesn't actually listen to the people that he's attacking. Listen, man, we listened on my channel yesterday to that whole interview that Tucker Carlson, or we listened to a majority of it, the interview that Tucker Carlson did with, what's his name, Daryl Cooper, Martyr Maid, that historian that said that maybe Winston Churchill wasn't the great hero of World War II. We listened to a good portion of that interview on my channel yesterday. There was nothing hateful in that interview. There was no Holocaust denial in that interview. There was no supporting Nazis in that interview. There was no hating Jews in that interview. There was nothing like that. It was really just a very nuanced and like calm and rational conversation between Tucker Carlson and this guy who, I mean, to me, kind of seems like he's actually a very well-read person. It seemed to me like he looks at all sides of history, that he's not necessarily inclined to paint everyone as a hero or everyone as a villain. But I think we can all agree that like Winston Churchill has largely been painted as like a massive, overwhelming hero, specifically in regards to World War II. And maybe that's not accurate. Maybe if you consider like what Winston Churchill did with like the firebombing of Dresden, maybe where like a lot of civilians died in just an absolutely horrific and vile way for no good reason other than Winston Churchill sending a message to the German people that you will never do this again. Like, I think you can start to have an understanding of why maybe there are people in the world who maybe don't think that Winston Churchill was the hero. Again, no one has to agree or disagree with this. Like, no one's obligated to agree with anything, but like, there was nothing hateful in the conversation that Tucker Carlson had with this guy. Well, James Lindsay has been having a massive meltdown all over Twitter ever since about the woke right, the woke right. Tucker Carlson is the leader of the woke right. The woke right's coming to take over the entire conservative movement. No, we just can't have this. No, we just can't have this. And it's just like, bro, calm down. Like, go do some yoga. Go meditate. Go relax. Go smoke a joint. Calm the fuck down, James, because all this was an interview on the internet that no one actually had to watch, that no one actually had to pay attention to. Anyway, so I've been making fun of James because, well, quite frankly, we have caught James on video several times now in the past couple months stealing my content, stealing my ideas and my work about the left, and taking them and presenting them as his own, and like almost verbatim, word for word, stealing stuff that I came up with that has nothing to do with James at all, because I don't even really pay attention to James except when I'm looking into whether or not he's stealing my shit. And we have him on video admitting he steals people's content. We have him on video stealing my content, explicitly my content. And we also have receipts that James has struggle sessioned organizations into taking away credit from me for the work I did, because James is like, you are uplifting a narcissistic psychopath. And it's like, okay, maybe I am a narcissist, James, even though I'm not. But like, let's just go down this road. Even if I am, this is still literally my work. These are still literally my receipts. This comes from me. Everyone knows it comes from me. The people who stole it to support James admit it comes from me. And James is struggle sessioning like organizations like Not the Bee to remove credit that belongs to me for my work, because James doesn't want anyone knowing where it comes from, because quite frankly, my work is about 1,000,000 times better than James. I'm a better teacher than James. I am more comprehensive than James. My audience knows so much more about the left than James's audience does. It's not even funny. So there are many reasons why James Lindsay doesn't want people seeing me, doesn't want people interacting with me, doesn't want to do any of this, wants to paint me as this fucking monster, all that stuff. Anyway, so I like to have a little fun with James because, quite frankly, he's a massive pain in the ass, and he's a liar, and he's a grifter. I'm sorry. James is now being paid off by like Moms for Liberty and Turning Point USA. He's working with PragerU. He is literally working with every bad organization in the space, and he's lying to people, and we know that, and I've been talking about that for a while. So if I want to have a little fun with James by making a clip out of context that actually is an accurate representation of what Hitler said in Mein Kampf, I'm gonna fucking do it. And he can cry all he wants about it, but we had a good laugh about it, and then it got 160 some odd thousand views on Twitter, and this is all happening while James is having a massive meltdown, and I don't feel bad about it. So James apparently went and watched my actual stream and recorded a clip from my stream where we made this clip. James sent out his henchmen. They were like, how did Carlin find this clip about James? And James has now posted on his Twitter the actual clip of me on my stream making this clip where I'm joking. I'm saying, I'm going to cut James out of context so bad. This is the rules of the internet. He's going to be so pissed off. And James seems to think this is somehow vindicating of him, and he says, I'm going to take James Lindsay so badly. James didn't even quote me correctly. What I actually said was, I'm going to take James Lindsay out of context so badly, but James is so pissed off, he's not even quoting me directly, which is exactly what I said was going to happen. I said James was going to be pissed off about this, and he was, which was the point, James. And he says, this disgusting behavior is to elicit my attention and to make Nick Fuentes and his gripers dance for her, which they did. James, I don't need to cut you out of context in order to make the gripers dance for me, which, by the way, I would never characterize it as the gripers dancing for me, and Nick Fuentes certainly doesn't dance for me. If anything, I fucking dance for him. Like, are you crazy? Like, this is just like me and Nick Fuentes and the Groypers. Like, first of all, Nick and I don't even talk. Like, I'm not in Nick's inner circle or anything, but I'm friendly with a lot of the Groypers, and they're fun and they're funny and I enjoy them. And so what? Yeah, I hang out with them sometimes. I go to their Twitter spaces sometimes. I'm allowed to do that. This is America. I'm allowed to associate with people who I want to associate with, and quite frankly, Nick Fuentes is very smart, and James would know that if he actually bothered to listen to Nick Fuentes, but that's another aside. James continues this entire Twitter thread that he wrote about me. He says, here's what he says: if you wonder why I don't interact with her, it's because she's dangerously obsessed with me and does this dishonest cluster B thing all the time. Most of her posts are about me. Most of her streams are about me. It's all unhinged cluster B provocation. See it? James. Apparently you can't do a simple fucking fact check, bro. How many, can we just go to my YouTube channel? Can we just go to my fucking YouTube channel and we can see what my streams are about? Like, this is not even hard. I'm going to go to my YouTube channel on my phone right now. I'm going to pull up my YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you what my streams have been about lately. The stream yesterday was about Tucker Carlson interviewing that guy, where we did watch some of James's content because he's copying from me. So yes, James, yesterday we did listen to the content that you're copying from me to demonstrate that you're copying from me, James. The stream I did before that was about James. It was this interview with the rabbi. The podcast I did before that was about how James is fucking everything up. So that's true. So yeah, I have done a couple things about James this week. The one I did before that on Wednesday was about zines and revolutionary far-left politics. So that's actually not about James at all. Then on Wednesday night, we did a whole 2-hour workshop where we taught people how to make zines. That wasn't about James at all. On Tuesday night, we watched the debate. So that's not about James. On Tuesday afternoon, we did a whole queer anarchy marathon where we were analyzing a queer anarchy document that was written in 2012 that was about gay marriage and how queer anarchists, fun fact, didn't actually want gay marriage in 2012. That had nothing to do with James. I also did a podcast reading earlier that day about polyamory and queer anarchism. That had nothing to fucking do with James. I did a stream on Monday about Emmy O'Brien and queer Marxism. Emmy O'Brien is our favorite abolish the family socialist, where basically she's a crazy person and we watched her and we analyzed her. That had nothing to do with James. Before that, I did another podcast recording where we talked about Towards the Queerest Insurrection, which is a document written by a queer anarchist, the Mary Nardini gang, that James doesn't even know about. That had nothing to do with James. My Socialism Saturday was about queer Marxism and abolish the family, again with Emmy O'Brien. That had nothing to do with James. We did do a debunking of a secret recording of a James Lindsay Mom for Liberty session. So that was about James. That was last Friday for happy hour. And the reason that's important is because James was overtly stealing my work in that presentation. Again, James was stealing my work in that presentation. He was stealing my lines. He was talking about how, we always teach people, like I always say to people, you need to learn the language of leftist, which to me sounds suspiciously like me telling people all the time and actually running classes for the last year about how to speak socialist. James is trying to steal my language bit. That's why he's pissed off that I watched that. Before that, we watched a presentation about socialists discussing the 2024 election. Before that, we did Candace Owens and Rabbi Shmuley. That had nothing to do with James. We did a whole section on the Nashville Shooter Manifesto. That had nothing to do with James. We did a whole fucking weekend. We did 22 hours of streaming covering the Socialism 2024 conference. That had nothing to do with James. We did a whole fucking weekend from Friday through Sunday evening. We covered 22 hours of socialism within a 48-hour period. None of that had anything to fucking do with James. Before that, we covered queer anarchism. Before that, we covered communists in America. Before that, we watched that idiot debate between Andrew Wilson and Hawes on Fresh and Fit about communism. Before that, we did Robin DiAngelo got caught plagiarizing. Before that, we did Revolutionary Socialists, discuss Marx and the State. I can go on and on and on. But I'm about to cough. Hang on one sec. That was a horrible cough. Hang on, I need to drink something. Hang on. So my point here is this. The vast majority of the shit that I talk about, and if you go to my Substack, you can see my writings, it has nothing to fucking do with James Lindsay at all. But James wants to convince people that this is all I ever talk about and all I ever do. He literally says, I'll read this tweet again. If you wonder why I don't interact with her, it's because she's dangerously obsessed with me and does this dishonest cluster B thing all the time. Most of her posts are about me. Well, that's been true in the last day and a half because James has been having a massive hissy fit meltdown on Twitter and I'm amused by it, so I will fucking tweet about it if I want to. Most of her streams are about me. That's just provably not true, James. That is not hinged into reality at all, in any way. It's all unhinged cluster B provocation, see it? Well, no, when you actually look at reality, no one sees it but you, James. Then he continues the thread. I spare absolutely zero sympathy for groypers. I'm not a groyper. But I think it's kind of funny how she's integrating herself with them and doing a borderline evaluation of Nick Fuentes to do it, getting them to take her orders and do her bidding. This is actually kind of hilarious to watch. When do groypers take my orders and do my bidding? Like, when has that ever happened? Like, I mean, come on. That's not even the way this works. James apparently doesn't know what it's like to kind of like hang out with people online and make jokes and have conversations about interesting things and all that. But I would like to know when the groypers actually have taken my, like I would, first of all, I'm not a groyper. Secondly, I'm not in Nick's inner circle. Thirdly, it's not like I'm even collaborating with Nick or doing anything with Nick. The groypers have no reason to take orders from me. Now, where the groypers and I do align is we all don't like James because James is an asshole to all of us. James has been incredibly unfair to Nick Fuentes. He has wrongfully characterized Nick Fuentes on more than one occasion. It is obvious that James doesn't even listen to what Nick Fuentes has to say. And you know, maybe silly me, but I do have a soft spot for the underdog. I have a soft spot for people who have been wrongfully smeared online, just like James Lindsay is wrongfully smearing me right now. So, you know, James can mischaracterize this all he wants, but the fact of the matter is no one's taking orders from me, James. If the groypers have fun with you and the groypers retweet me and the groypers, you know, get in on this and they come into your replies, that's not because I told them to, bro. That's because they think you're a pain in the ass. And they don't like you because you go after Nick. James continues, I have dozens and dozens of hours of her ranting about me, including bizarre, violent sexual fantasies. What? I don't even know. And I don't even know what that's about. That I'll clip for you later, if I must. Oh, did I make a joke or something about that? I don't even know what James is talking about, but that's actually pretty funny if I actually did that. Because you guys know who, like those of you who actually watch my streams, I never make sexual jokes and I never make sexual innuendos. That just never happens. I definitely don't have an over-sexualized sense of humor because I think it's funny. Well, you want to know why, James? Because sex is funny. Sex is hilarious. And the fact that it's tweaking you so badly is fucking hilarious. I'm not telling you who to interact with or listen to or not. That's not my style. But you should know what you're dealing with. James actually has some delusion where he thinks I'm having bizarre, violent sexual fantasies about him. And he thinks I'm the one that's unhinged. James, that's not reality, bro. That's not reality. And this is why I say, people wonder why I say James is lying, James is lying, James is lying. There is no reality in real life where I have had violent sexual fantasies about James Lindsay. The most that I've probably done is say something to the effect of like, there was a thing, there was like an inside joke that was twisted from 3 or 4 years ago where I said to someone somewhere, there was a game of Fuck, Marry, Kill, where I said something where they were like James Lindsay, I don't even remember, like Chris Rufo, and I think maybe like Dave Rubin or something like that, like Fuck, Marry, Kill. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but I said something to the effect of, I would fuck James Lindsay because he has a giant sword. Like, that's pretty much as far as that's gotten, and that was obviously a joke. And I just don't know how people can't look at that and not understand that that's a joke. But obviously James doesn't have that. So, oh my God, he's copying and pasting stuff from Poetry Painter. Poetry Painter is this psycho that stalks everything that I do online. If you go to Poetry Painter's Twitter page, you can see basically like her whole feed is about me. She's like writing all this crazy stuff. I recognize what James is posting here. This definitely came from Poetry Painter. He says, I'm going to leave this here just for fun. And it's me saying that James is saying the woke right is throwing the election. And then it's also me saying Trump must lose, conservatism must fail. They have proven time and time again they have no principles or integrity. You cannot defeat the left when you stand for nothing. The right must lose, the right must die off and then be rebuilt. It's the only way. So James is of course saying I'm part of the woke right, which is bizarre to me because I don't even like I don't even really consider myself. I'm not a conservative. I've never been a conservative, and I've actually been pretty crystal clear this entire election season that I'm not voting for Trump because I don't think Trump is actually going to solve any of our problems. And of course, like, I don't have enough influence to do anything. So I'm stating a personal opinion, but in the land of James Lindsay, you are not allowed to state a personal opinion. Let's see, did he post anything else about me? Oh, he did! He did! So he posted, this guy responded to the video of James, and he said, but we need to see the context of this video. And so I responded to him saying, he's very clearly explaining what Hitler wrote in Mein Kampf. This is a fact. No other context is needed. James took a screenshot of that and he said, I'll add this too. A blatant lie to one of her followers to hide the context she knowingly admitted intentionally to try to make trouble for me. No, James, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, bro. It is literally not a lie. You literally described what is in the opening chapter of Mein Kampf. It's not my fault that you chose to go do an interview with a rabbi where you openly and brazenly described what was in the first chapter of Mein Kampf, James. That's not my fault. That's your fault. You can blame me for it all you want. You can cry and complain on the internet. Carly clipped me out of context to try to make trouble for me and me. But I don't care, bro. I don't care. Let's see. People are saying Sloan Rathmute is in his replies. Oh my God, Sloan Rathmute is a crazy woman that's married to an IDF, like an Israeli Defense Forces guy. Let's see. Who else is in James's comments? Let's see. And I see one request to come up and speak. I'll bring up some people in a second if people want to grab a mic and let me know what you think. All the people in James's comments are Jewish. Basically. Yeah, these are all morons in James's comments. or people saying, shut up, James. All right, let me bring some people up, guys. I really don't have long to speak on this because I do have to get ready for Socialism Saturday so I can do a stream that James Lindsay is going to say that's all about him, but really has nothing to do with him because according to James, all I ever do is stream about him. But starting at 6 p.m. tonight, we will actually be doing Socialism Saturday, which is going to be about socialists. It's going to have nothing to do with James. It's going to be content James doesn't even cover. So, Yasmin, what do you have to say about all this?
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. I think we found his trigger. This was very strategic. I think we should clip him more since he doesn't want to be honest with his audience about socialism and capitalism. And I think this could really help him start to speak about the real issue.
You know, I'm not actually opposed to that idea. You know, listen, I do want, unlike what James is saying here when he says, most of her posts are about me, most of her streams are about me. Like, I don't actually want all of my streams to be about James. I just want them to be about James strategically when he's stealing my work and pawning it off as his own, or when he's having a massive meltdown on Twitter and I can use that to show that he's not someone that people should be listening to, because quite frankly, he's lying to them. But like, I actually don't want all of my streams to be about James, but quite frankly, there's nothing stopping me from streaming as much about James as I damn well want. And if James really wants to piss me off, then I will do a whole like marathon where we go through his entire back catalog of podcasts and I debunk every single one of them using real clips from real socialist trainings that James doesn't even know about. So, like, there's nothing that says that I can't use him to make content when he's putting content out there publicly on the internet. Again, this is the law of the internet. That's not what I want to do. That's not what I have been doing. James can lie to people all he wants. But that's just like the facts just don't back that up. But if he wants to play and if he wants to make this a big deal, then fuck, like, if he's going to accuse me of it anyway, then I might as well do it. Right?
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Like, I would stream about James 24/7, and we don't watch him all the time, but we should. Because a part of fighting socialism, we have to. He lies a lot about what's really going on, so we have to also fight him too.
You know, I mean, well, that is a good point. I do think that one of the biggest challenges to actually defeating the left is that people like James are out there lying to their audiences about what the left is actually saying. And I do think that's important to expose, which is why we've been talking about him. And he can cry all the tears he wants about that. Do you guys notice James has never once, not one single time, actually made an intellectual argument about the criticisms that we've made? And we've made plenty of intellectual criticisms about James' content. We've said you're not telling people that queer theory is about abolishing capitalism when we have all these clips from queer theorists talking about how it's abolishing capitalism. You're not telling people that queer theory is about abolishing the gender binary when we have all these clips of people saying it is. You're not talking about social reproduction theory. You're not talking about the abolition of the nuclear family. You're not talking about any of these things that show up in queer Marxist training over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And if people want to go back and watch the streams that I've done about James, that's actually been most of the context, is us saying, James, you're not telling people the truth. But James can't actually argue from an intellectual basis. He just has to say that Carlin has the cluster B personality disorder and all she ever does is stream about me and wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, I agree. That's all I wanted to say, but I thought when we infiltrated his last stream, his premiere, when he was lying on the stream, I thought that was going to be his trigger, but now I can see that he has an ego, and if you clip him, then he's going to respond to it because he cares about his image.
I mean, listen, if James wants to keep going down this woke right rabbit hole, which it seems like he's rather committed to going on and on and on about the woke right, which, by the way, Kim Iverson, here are the people that James considers to be part of the quote-unquote woke right. I mean, me, of course, but I'm like a lesser character in this whole thing. He considers Tucker Carlson to be the woke right. He considers Dave Smith to be the woke right. Kim Iverson is the woke right. Nick Fuentes obviously is the woke right. Who else does he consider to be part of the woke right? Jake Shields is part of the woke right. Candace Owens is part of the woke right. And this list is just going to keep going on and on and on and on and on, because what James actually defines as the woke right, probably because he works with PragerU all the fucking time, are people who don't support Israel. That's what the woke right is. People who might have questions about the narrative surrounding World War II. That's what the woke right is. And I'm sorry, like, James doesn't even understand the arguments that these people are making, probably because he's never actually listened to them. Anyway, I don't really have much more to say on this. I just wanted to react to this Twitter thread kind of live, and I am recording this. I'm going to put this up on my YouTube channel for posterity. But I do have to go get ready for Socialism Saturday, because contrary to the story that James likes to tell about me, we are going to be talking about real socialists in about half an hour, starting at 6 p.m. We do this every Saturday at 6 p.m. You can find a massive archive of well over 1,000 hours, if not more, of live socialist trainings on my website, or on my YouTube channel, my Rumble channel, where we've been streaming this stuff for literally years now. By the way, we have a special event coming up this week where we're actually going to be going inside a live socialist, like, recruiting and organizing call. This is going to be a special spy stream that we're doing. I have access to a secret undercover spy link that they're going to be having a Zoom call to organize and talk about socialism and all that stuff, and how they're going to eventually try to overthrow the federal government in the United States. This is actually one of the most radical revolutionary socialist groups in the country right now. We're going to be going, excuse me, We're going to be going inside their training on the 18th. I'll be sending out more information about that. And of course, James is going to try to find some way to make it all about him because he has no idea this group exists. He has never encountered this group, and he's going to be pissed off that I'm showing people what this group is actually doing. And so, of course, this is going to somehow be made to spin about him or something like that, but really it has nothing to do with him. Anyway, you can find out more information about that by signing up for my Substack, which is Carlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. And we just keep pushing forward, guys. James is sending flack my way because we are over the fucking target. James is pissed off. This is exactly where we want him. I wrote about this in my book, Actively Unwoke, The Ultimate Guide for Fighting Back Against the Woke Insanity in Your Life. I wrote about this in my book. You piss off the woke and they make mistakes. And when they make mistakes, you take advantage and you get ahead of them. And we have now pissed off the leader of the real woke fucking right, which is James Lindsay. And so we just keep poking. Just keep poking. Poke. Just keep hitting the same fucking mark because obviously we've stumbled upon something. And if James wants to act like a fool on the internet, that's not my problem. And I'm going to take advantage of it to use it for my own purposes. So that's all I have for right now, guys. I got to go get ready for Socialism Saturday. Thank you for hanging out, and I appreciate it. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.